The DWX was really popular amongst you guys. They sold out pretty quickly, and fast forward to now and the DWX Compact has landed, and we're going to talk about it now. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David, and this joke actually comes to you from the comments section on the blind guy skydiving joke. So blind guy walks into a store, picks up his dog, and starts swinging him around overhead by his leash like a lasso. Shopkeeper's confused and says, "Sir, can I help you?" And the blind guy says, "Nah, just looking around." I laughed too. I actually laughed out loud at that one. And of course, a quick shout out to my channel sponsors, my Patreon supporters, whose new shoes do in fact make them run faster and jump higher, as well as Optics Planet, where the code HUMM does absolutely nothing and you shouldn't try and use it. So TriggerCon 2023 was this past weekend, and the CZ boys were there with their trailer, which means I got to handle both the Shadow 2 Compact and the DWX Compact. And the DWX is a hybrid of like the CZ75 and a 1920-11 style frame. This Kimber KDS 9C is kind of a good stand-in for what the DWX is, so we'll pretend that's what this is. So the DWX Compact, just like the Kimber, is going to have an alloy frame with no grip safety. The texture on the gun has been kind of reduced down to be suitable for carry, similar to what this Kimber is. The DWX Compact sports a frag pattern on the grip and the front and back strap, as opposed to the DWX full size, which has checkered grips and a checkered front and back strap. Now, those of you not familiar with DWX firearms, they make some pretty strong 19 and 2011. I actually used to compete with a Valor, their full-size 45, back in the day. So the DWX Compact didn't disappoint in that regard. It's a production tight 2011, meaning that there is going to be a little bit of wiggle when you actually go mess with the thing, but not a ton, and everything is going to feel super precise. Unlike the full-size version of the gun, and much like the Kimber here, there is a single-sided safety on the gun because Dan Wesson hates left-handed people. He told me so. That's not exactly true, but the DWX does have an external extractor, kind of like the Kimber and the Oracle arms, which is a nice feature considering that the internal extractor on 192011s is a known fussy point, and it kind of eliminates that. So for reliability, that's a pretty good move. The gun weighs about 30 ounces unloaded, and it doesn't have a pick rail or an optics cut, so it really is more for kind of the OG CZ and 1920-11 guys. Now, 30-ounce guns is kind of a sweet spot because a 30-ounce gun is light enough to carry, but heavy enough to where when you go to shoot it, it actually performs really, really well. So the DWX Compact is pretty squared away on that front. And to that point, the way it shot was pretty nice. The very predictable trigger, it had a, I'm guessing somewhere around the 4-pound break point. The 4-ish pound trigger is exactly what you'd want and expect in a Dan Wesson firearm. Also weighing 30 ounces was the CZ Shadow 2 Compact, which the CZ guys had with them. If you haven't watched that video, I mentioned I'd talk about those two guns together here. So having the two guns sort of side by side, I can say that my preference would probably go towards the CZ Shadow 2 Compact for a number of reasons. First and foremost is the Shadow 2 is going to be an optics ready style gun. There aren't a lot of DASA carry guns that feature optics cuts, so the Shadow 2 Compact does sort of slide into that void. But also the Shadow 2 Compact is about $400 less than the DWX Compact. Now, the best price I could see the DWX Compact going for online was about $1,900, and the Shadow 2, if they were in stock anywhere, is supposed to sell for about $1,300. And my math is bad, so that's more. That's about $600 different. The Dan Wesson is a finer feeling gun just from a fit and finish perspective. Not to say the Shadow 2 is a slouch, but Dan Wesson makes really, really nice guns. And the cool thing about the DWX and the Shadow 2 Compact is that they actually share magazines. So if you've got a bunch of magazines for like an old P01 or 75 Compact, you can use those in the DWX. And also grip panels. I think the DWX, if I'm not mistaken, takes CZ75 Compact grips, which is cool because Lock Grips already makes a ton of grips for those. But that's kind of my question to you guys is, what would you pick? The CZ Shadow 2 Compact or the DWX Compact? And don't be one of those weirdos who's like, I'd take a Glock and $1,000. Like, no, you got to pick between the two. Which would you take? Just pretend you're flush with cash and hate money.